Today's video, we'll be looking at this UMI ProQuest 900 series workstation, also known as an NCR 286.
We review old technology from games to old PCs, and don't forget the toys. Yeah, ancient electronics, we cover it all.
So if this computer looks familiar to you, that's because you may have seen it in another YouTuber's video. Westlife, who is another YouTuber that covers a lot of older computer equipment, actually did two videos on a machine that's more or less this same machine. His had a different label. Mine's labeled as a UMI ProQuest 900 series workstation, and I believe his was just NCR. I believe his was just labeled NCR. I don't know if it was like NCR 286 or something, but yeah, it's basically the same machine. He did two videos on it. So this seems to be the same computer, just a rebadge, but we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look inside. As you can see here, it is kind of like a slimline pizza box-ish slimline computer. There's only one 3¼ inch drive, and right now it is occupied by a 1.44 megabyte floppy drive. We have a hard drive activity LED, a power LED, and this nice kind of satisfying power button there. Kind of an unusual sort of ovalish shape, but it is kind of satisfying. Alright, so let's turn this computer around and let's take a look at the back. So taking a look at the back of this machine, we can see here NCR Corporation. So this is an NCR machine, even though it is not labeled in the front. Right here we have like the exhaust fan, I believe from the power supply. Three-prong power connector. We have a PS2 port here for a keyboard, just a keyboard though, not a mouse and keyboard. But right next to it we have a serial port, which you could connect a serial mouse if you desired. And we also have another larger serial I/O port. I guess you could get in a little adapter, connect a serial mouse to that as well. Next to that we have a parallel port, and then finally we have a VGA port for built-in VGA. So pretty simple, but I do like the keyboard. At least for the keyboard you have a PS2 port. That's kind of convenient. So let us open it up and take a look inside. Well, before we look inside, I almost forgot to mention there are two openings right here for adding at least two expansion cards. I have nothing installed right now. I don't even have little cover brackets, but yeah, there is room for two cards should you choose to install any expansion cards. And you can see right here, it looks like it's written Royal Palm. So I'm not sure if that's like a country club, like a local country club, or like a resort or a casino or something. So I'm not quite sure. It seems like there's many sort of resort-ish, casino-ish places called Royal Palm. So who knows? But let me just, now that I've unscrewed the back, well, I can't do this with one hand. So let me take this top off and we'll look inside. Alright, so here is the inside of the computer with the top taken off. As you can see here, a hard drive would go here. When I got this machine, it did not have a hard drive installed. And here is our view of the board. Now, if you have watched Westlife video on his NCR 286, you'll notice that this is like a odd alternate version of that computer, because although it's basically the same CPU, same video chip, it looks like everything is basically the same. The board, they're kind of moved around on the board a little bit. It looks like the orientation is slightly different. For example, I believe on his board, we have the CPU right here. On his board, the socket for the math coprocessor is down, and it's like kind of next to the CPU. Other little differences too, like over here where the video memory is. I believe on his motherboard, this switch is here, and these are moved up, and the orientation of the memory is a little bit different. So it looks like things are moved around, like this is a different revision of the same board, but from what I've seen and watched from his video, it seems like it's basically the same, other than things being slightly moved around. If you look right here on the riser card, it even says NCR 286. So let's take a closer look at some of this board's components. Actually, let me remove this sled here so we can get a better look at everything. Alright, so there we go. I took the little sled off there so we have better access. So let's take a look at this board. We'll start over here. We have a nice little built-in piezo speaker, and I believe right here next to it you can turn that to make adjustments to the volume. Obviously it's not super convenient to get to because it's inside the case, but it's nice to have a little thing there that you can, I forget exactly what those called, a pentometer or something, that you can use to adjust the volume. I think right here is the built-in memory. I'm guessing it's 1 megabyte, but I do not know. Well, actually I do know for sure, because over here underneath we have one of these wonderful little switch and jumper settings, and it shows the board, and I think right there, yeah, 1 megabyte of onboard memory. So that is what that is right there. Next to that we have our two system ROMs, high and low. And then right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 slots. I don't know if slots is the right term for these, but 4 slots for 30-pin memory. So I'm guessing you can expand this whole system to maybe 4 megabytes or so. So that's nice. Although after watching V Westlife's video, apparently he had a lot of trouble finding RAM that would work in these slots. He had to use some really funky looking, super old 30-pin RAM. That was the only RAM he said he had that detected. So keep that in mind. And then right here we have the video chip. Now this is apparently a pretty nice video chip from Paradise. It is the PVGA 1A-JK, so this is a SVGA chip. Might be overkill on a 286, but it's there. Supposedly it is pretty fast and nice for early SVGA VGA video. Now next to the video chip we have the memory for the video chip. We have some memory soldered onto the motherboard. I believe this is 256K of memory, and I believe it is expandable to a full 512K video memory. Now below all the built-in video stuff, we have a switch right here for switching various things, enabling and disabling various ports, and selecting things like the VGA module and monitor type and all those nice things. So right here we have the riser card we looked at a little earlier. Again, it says NCR 286, and it has two 16-bit ISA slots on it. That would probably be really, I mean, you can always use more expansion slots, but for a machine like this, that would really be all you need. You've already have like pretty good VGA built in. I guess if you wanted, you could disable this and put in like CGA or EGA if you wanted like an authentic EGA CGA experience, but really you'd probably be best off just keeping the built-in video, and you could add like a compact flash adapter and hard drive here. Of course, you could also set that up on the built-in IDE, possibly, or you know, sound card, things like that. So that's pretty decent. And then right here, this is the BIOS chip for the built-in VGA. Over here we have the CPU. It is a Intel 286 running at 12 megahertz. So as far as 286s go, this is kind of the middle of the road. Pretty decently fast. There was the 16 megahertz after that, and then the rare 20 and 25 megahertz 286 chips. Probably this and the 16 megahertz 286 are kind of the quintessential 286 chips. So that's very nice. A little boost over those 8 megahertz 286s. And then we do have a slot for a 287 math coprocessor. Not used very often, but it's nice to have. So over here we have the power connector, and then this is the connector for the front LEDs. And then right here we have the connector for a floppy disk drive, and then a IDE connector for the hard drive. And apparently, at least from what I've learned on V Westlife's video, this machine can be picky about hard drives. You got various other chips. I don't really know what they do. You know, glue logic or controllers for the parallel ports and floppy and things like that. Now right here there was a lithium battery that I had that was connected to this. Obviously it was dead, so I did remove it without incident. But if you will look right here, there is a connector for an external battery. This area too, the setup is a little bit different from Westlife's machines. Alright, you also may have noticed over here, it looks like there was a spot for a 386, well it says 387SX, but it looks like there might be like a 386 version of this board as well. If you look at that sticker also that was under it, there's actually, I think it's this one here, is actually a jumper for choosing between a 12 megahertz 286 or a 16 megahertz 386. So, like I said, it looks like there may be a 386 version of this board out there. Now, all that being said, unfortunately, this machine actually does not work. It has never worked for me, and I've tried various things. Basically, you know, it does power up. You get power LED, and you can hear the power supply fan and stuff, but I get a 5 beep error code and then nothing. So if you look up the 5 beep error code in various, you know, like NCR BIOS guides and manuals, what it says for the 5 beeps is simply fatal error. Very ominous and not very helpful at all. So I've tried various things. I've tried, you know, playing around with putting RAM in here. I've tried all the different jumper configurations. I've tried all of these switch settings on and off, different combinations. It's just nothing. I've tried, I've connected an external, known, working, good external battery. Thought maybe it was some kind of weird CMOS, you know, issue. Sometimes you'll get computers that they just need to have a CMOS battery connected that was working. Nothing. I've tried installing various like video cards and different VGA cards and stuff to see if that was the issue, and nothing has helped, unfortunately. So I think maybe it's something on the board. One of these chips is bad, possibly. Oh, I also tried, I actually swapped the CPU for another known, good working 12 megahertz 286. That wasn't the issue, so it's not a bad CPU issue. So I'm just not sure what it is. Maybe the RAM on the board is bad. Unfortunately, it's soldered on the board. There's really nothing I could do about it. Maybe it's one of these different various chips that's gone bad. I don't know. It's unfortunate because even though I have a couple 286s at this point, I really like this board. I like the small form factor. It almost, I mean, other than not supporting, you know, Tandy sound and graphics, it almost reminds me of maybe like a 286 version of the Tandy 1000 RL, but, you know, a little more powerful and a little more expandable. So I don't know, I would have liked to have done something with it, but I just can't get this thing to work. Let me actually show you what it does. Alright, so we're all connected up, so let me just hit the power button here and you can see and hear what it does. Unfortunately, it's not going to be very exciting. Basically, it's going to do exactly as I explained, so here we go. And that's basically the extent of how far I've been able to get this computer to go. Now there actually is one more thing I want to try, just because I'm a little more determined than usual to get this machine working, although I don't have high hopes. And that is this here. I discovered these things. These are, I believe, from Landmark, and it is a Diagnosis BIOS, basically. So this was meant for the IBM 5170, and basically you replace the high and low ROM chips with these, and then it should tell you, you know, it does a diagnostic when you hit the power button, and it tells you what is wrong with it. So theoretically, we will replace these two high and low ROM chips with these, and it should work. Now, like I said, this was meant for the IBM AT, but if a machine is close enough, it should work. So there isn't really anything weird about this motherboard, at least that I can tell. So theoretically, this should work on this motherboard, and it should tell us what's wrong. Now, one thing is, the video definitely will not work with these, because basically you have to use a VGA card that doesn't self-initialize. So again, I'm not a technical guy here, so from my understanding, you need a VGA card that's both compatible with these diagnostic BIOS chips, but also that doesn't self-initialize, because I guess most VGA cards use the initialization of the BIOS to initialize themselves, and since we're taking out the BIOS and putting these in, it just won't work. So basically all VGA cards are out as far as I understand, including this built-in chip. So we're going to have to install a video card if we want video output. Now apparently this will still work without a video card, but you're going to have to go by the diagnostic beeps. But you can use an EGA card, although it's very iffy if that will work from my understanding, so your best bet is a CGA card. Even like MDA cards I heard may not work, so again your best bet is a CGA card. And I do have an extra IBM CGA card sitting around, so we'll install that guy and then we'll give this a shot. Again, I don't know how much I could do even with what it tells me. Like if it tells me, for instance, memory is bad or something else, it's really beyond my skill to fix or replace it, but at least it will be nice for us to know. Okay, well unfortunately this plan didn't work out as intended. I didn't take a good enough look at this card. This is an IBM CGA card, and it's an 8-bit card, but unfortunately how it's designed, it will not fit in a 16-bit ISA slot, which those are the only slots I have on the 286 here, because you know, this will go in, but of course you have the other part of the ISA slot, and this will hit it, and it just won't work. So I've got to dig around for another CGA card. Alright, well, I'm just going to temporarily take this ATI CGA card from my Turbo 8088 build, and I can put this in the 286, and this should work just as well, and also has composite out, so this should work to give us some kind of display using those diagnostic chips. Alright, so I have this guy hooked up. It's actually right on top of my Tandy 1000 RL. It was very easy to disconnect that and then just slide this guy and connect it. So I have it connected to my AMDEC Color 600 CGA monitor. I got the CGA card installed, got the power, keyboard. So I'm going to power this up and see if we get anything. I have a bad feeling that we're not going to get anything. I don't know, Mercury's been in retrograde, so apparently I'm told that causes a lot of issues. So I just have a feeling that I'm not going to get anything. So, well, let's find out. Doesn't sound good, first of all. Nah, doesn't look like... Wait, hey, we got a cursor. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, nice. Alright, so it has been going through this, and it's done it several times now, probably like 5 or 6 times, and I get the same thing. It looks like all these checks it passes, and then it gets to protected mode CPU, and then it beeps, and then I do get total errors 1, 2, and then like no memory errors, and it just, so I get total memory errors 2, and it stops at that, you know, the CPU protected mode, but that doesn't, I'm not quite sure exactly what that means. It looks like everything else is passing, so it doesn't seem like it's a error with the onboard memory. So I'm just not sure why it stops at protected mode CPU, and then I get 2 errors. Here it just says total errors. I don't know, is that memory errors? I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to do some more research, I guess. I mean, I am happy that I'm getting something here, but it's still kind of inconclusive. Alright, so I did find the manual for this diagnostic program, and listening to the beep codes and then looking up, because when it gets the protected mode CPU test, it does say failed, but it's like not where it should be. It's like glitchy and way at the top, so I'm guessing it's failing this protected mode CPU test, and it suggests replacing the CPU, but I actually suspected that earlier and I replaced it with a working one, and that changed nothing. So I mean, I guess I'll try again, but I don't know. The beep code also indicates, if you go all the way, where are we going here? All the way down to the bottom. You go for AT, and I get 6 high lows and 1 short, and it says cannot initialize monitor. And okay, I mean, if the VGA chip is failing, I have tried putting in a discrete VGA card, and it still had the same issue. So I don't know. I'm quite confused at this point. It also gives a secondary beep code that is 6 high low and 2 shorts, and there's nothing on this chart that is 6 high low and 2 shorts. So I don't know. I'm a bit confused, and at this point, although I am glad that it worked at all, so that's cool. It might be very useful in the future. So I guess I'll try replacing the CPU again, and then we'll run the program and see if it's any different. So unfortunately, this might be where our video comes to an end on this machine. So I did consult some people that are familiar with the readouts of these diagnostic ROMs and these kind of older AT type machines in general. And what I was told is for the beeps, the monitor beep that we were getting, the monitor non-initializing code, they said to ignore that. That's a known bug or issue with these ROMs. And since I was getting a visual display, I was told that that really takes precedence and I can just ignore the beeps altogether. The beeps are really there for people that can't get video out, which we did. Unfortunately, the issue we were getting seems to really be concerned with the CPU or this socket. Now, I was told that it could be probably generally one of 2 issues. The first one, it could be an issue with the, hold on, let me see here, an issue with the MC146818 chip. That chip would be faulty, and it's causing the error. But I looked on this board, and I did not see that chip anywhere on here, so I'm not sure exactly what that chip does. If it's an integral in the whole, like, taking the machine in and out of protected mode or shutting on and off the machine. I'm not sure, but I looked over this board and I couldn't see that chip. So I don't know, maybe this board doesn't use that particular chip or it uses a different variation. I'm not sure. The other issue they said it could be, and this is what I suspected, is the socket itself may be bad. I did try actually removing the CPU again. I tried visually inspecting it. It looked fine, like all the connectors around there looked fine. I tried cleaning it. I tried a different CPU. I installed another good working CPU, same issue. I tried cleaning the connectors on this CPU and all the connectors again, and starting it, same issue. So it might be the socket itself which is bad. In that case, I'd have to remove the motherboard from the case and then desolder this socket and solder on another socket. And that's not even a guarantee that that will work. We don't really know 100% that that is the issue. So it's kind of a lot of effort and hassle for something we don't really know with a great percentage that that is the issue. Now, desoldering this socket might be easy for some of you. It's far beyond my soldering skills, which are quite meager and terrible. So I'm not sure I want to go through the hassle of trying it myself. I don't know if in the future I'm going to bother to get it fixed. Maybe, you know, have someone else do it or pay someone else to do this. I don't know. It is a cool computer. I kind of want to get it up and running, but I don't know if I'm going to put the money and effort into it at this point. Now, I already know specifically which one of you are probably commenting at this moment and begging me not to throw this machine out or anything like that. Don't worry, I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to throw it to the dumpster. At this point, I'm going to hold on to it for a while I decide if I'm going to bother to maybe try to get this socket replaced and go through all that effort and see if that fixes the issue. The socket itself, you can get them pretty cheap on eBay. That's not really an issue. It's just having the desoldering and soldering done and pulling the board out and putting it back in. I don't know. It seems pretty easy, just a few screws, so it might not be that difficult. It's just I don't really have the skills or confidence to do that repair. Down the road, once if I decide I'm not going to go ahead with maybe getting it fixed, I'll probably just hand it off to another collector or somebody else that maybe wants to fiddle with it. So don't worry, I'm not going to throw it out or anything like that. So yeah, unfortunately that's the end of this video. I'm sad I couldn't really get this thing up and running. If I do by chance get that issue resolved, I will do a second part on this machine. There are some things I would like to do. If I did get it fixed, obviously I'm going to try to find some RAM. I would upgrade or max the RAM. I would max the video RAM. I'd throw in a math coprocessor. We've seen me do this before on this channel with various machines. It's not too exciting, but of course we'll run some games on it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I would add a traditional driver, maybe throw in a CF card adapter, a sound card. I've got some different like clone cards for sound I wouldn't mind testing out on this machine. Things like that. So if it does get fixed, there will definitely be a part 2, but don't hold your breath on that. So it's too bad we couldn't get this fixed, but it was interesting using these diagnostic ROMs. I've never used those before, so these might be very helpful in the future. So if I've gotten anything from this experience with this machine, it's learning about these diagnostic ROMs. They're pretty cool. These certainly will come in handy in the future, so I am glad I have those for future diagnostic and testing. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Of course, if you have any comments, ideas about this board or the issue, please put them down in the comment section. And again, remember to check out some of my backlog videos, especially for you new guys. There are some cool videos. Check out my cool Epson Equity 1E computer with which I upgraded to a V30. That's a cool video, so check that video out maybe if you're not doing anything else in the near future. So thanks again. Subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you again for watching.